Consumer confidence hitting a 6-month high in August. Despite confidence rising, nearly 1/3 of people have been cutting back on their spending due to concerns about the economy, according to a TD Bank survey. To break down how you should be spending, we've got Chris Fred, TD Bank head of U.S. credit cards and unsecured lending. Great to have you here, and thanks so much for hopping on the program with us, Chris. First, let's just start on your read-through of the consumer right now, because it seems like if we're seeing a consumer that's tapping or swiping credit cards more often, that just means that they're more hesitant to deploy cash in the event that they need that in an emergency situation here. What is your read-through?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me on your program, Brad. Despite the fact it seems like you're an Eagle fan from the prior segment, but the survey definitely revealed a lot of anxiousness on the part of the consumer and their financial situation. About 2/3 of customers or consumers are stating that their finances are keeping them up at night. About 1/3 of them, also saying that they're cutting back on spending. So definitely, higher prices, student loans, higher borrowing costs, definitely weighing on the consumer right now. But I think what's interesting is, despite that, we're also seeing consumers feel like they actually have the ability and the confidence to manage their finances. It's just a lot of work. It creates, it necessitates a fair amount of grit and work to be able to manage your cash flow and your finances. And so, definitely see this weighing on consumers. But the Americans continue to be quite resilient, but it's a lot of work. And it's a lot of anxiety, and that's really coming through in what we're seeing right now.
So we're also seeing credit cards dominate how people pay, as we were talking about. Can you tell us about how people should be navigating that and some of your top tips?
Yeah, we definitely see credit cards as well as debit, really trumping, cash. I think about 10% prefer to use to cash to do their spending. So credit cards obviously are playing a more and more important role. But largely what we saw in the survey was really around convenience, the ability to earn rewards, and those things being much more important than necessarily just trying to hold on to cash for that uncertainty. We do see payment rates going down, but not dramatically, and really not even lower than what we saw pre-pandemic. So, definitely seeing customers, have a willingness and a confidence to use those credit cards. But cash continues to become a smaller and smaller part of people's wallets.
What are some of the smart spending habits that people can put into place, even as they're identifying what their cost basis is, where they need to spend, versus some of those discretionary items that they want to spend on, but perhaps we need to ball in a budget a little bit more?
Yeah, what's important is, I think I heard you say this earlier in one of your segments is, there's more information and more tools than's ever been available before. Consumers are so much more smarter about their finances. Households are talking about finances. I know, my relatives are constantly asking me questions about their credit score and things of that nature. I think what's most important is that people need to understand where they're spending. And knowledge really is power. When you think about how you're spending, where you're spending, if you don't necessarily know what those are, it's really hard to build a budget. It's really hard to understand how that relates to your income stream and things of that nature. So there's so many tools out there for you to go after. You can do a simple search in terms of spend trackers, excuse me, and that would reveal a lot about how you're spending. But I think what you'll see when you do that is that there are a lot of expenditures that all of us have, whether it's subscriptions and you didn't realize you were paying for, the coffees and whatnot that we all need for simple pleasures. But can you cut back on that a little bit? Can really make a big difference when you do this on a daily basis, when you do it on a monthly basis. It adds up. But you kind of need to know that.
Yeah.
And I think these tools are really important to getting you there.